Welcome to Black Sheep's Time to Shine. This is the place where all the different kinds of black sheep can come together. My name is Mello, and please remember that the little things in life do indeed matter. And if we can't do the little things right, how are we going to do the big things right? It's the reason I carry these wands around all the time as a reminder to myself to keep the little things in mind. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lyrics breakdown of the Linkin Park song Numb. And Chester, he's the lead singer of Linkin Park. He does a great job with this song, but what really gets me about it are the lyrics. And a friend of mine sent this to me the other day, and when she did, it reminded me of, wow, I really relate to those lyrics so much, and so does she. And that's why she sent it to me. And it reminds me of exactly what it's like with a narcissistic parent and their children. And there's other applications of this too, of course, but that's the application I'm going to focus on in this lyrics breakdown. So let's get right to it here. And it starts with, I'm tired of being what you want me to be. Now, a narcissistic parent often will have a narcissistic fantasy about what they want their children to be. It's all about image, usually. And Chester here, he's saying how he's tired of always being what the narcissistic parent, in this case, would want him to be. Feeling so faithless, lost under the surface. So often when this happens, though, when a child is trying to live up to a narcissistic parent's ideal, they lose who they are. They never get to develop an authentic sense of their self and learn how to be autonomous, because whenever they try to be, they're met with guilt, shame, or gaslighting. So they learn to stuff that part of themselves in some cases. And that's basically what Chester is singing about here. And it doesn't surprise me that he probably lived through this. I don't think he was faking this at all. And he had struggled with trauma, PTSD, anxiety, and depression. And it makes sense when you listen to his lyrics and about what his upbringing was probably like. Don't know what you're expecting of me. Now, the narcissistic parent, what they are expecting from you is perfection. They are expecting you to give up your own free will and your autonomy and live up to the image of what they want you to be. I made a video about this the other day where I said, to a narcissist, image is everything. And so to a narcissistic parent, maybe they want you to be super smart, maybe they want you to play the right instruments or look really good or play the right whatever. That's what they want them to be. That's what they are expecting. And if you don't fall in line with what they're expecting, guilt and shame and hell to pay. Put under the pressure of walking in your shoes. Again, it sounds a lot like what a narcissistic parent would do, trying to get their child, perhaps the golden child, perhaps Chester here, maybe he was a golden child at some point, but he wants to develop his own autonomy, so now he's turning into more of a scapegoat. But it really depends. You have to learn more about each individual situation. But put under the pressure of walking in your shoes. Yeah, I mean, he wants to do his own thing, develop his autonomy, become his own person. This is like the Pinocchio breakdown that Jordan Peterson would talk about, where he wants to be a real boy, not just some sort of puppet. And that's exactly what a child can be in a narcissistic household, where the parent does not want you to be your own person and to develop your autonomy. They want you to be an extension of them, a puppet. So every step that I take is another mistake to you. And we all know narcissistic people, they are expert fault finders. They're always picking, poking, prodding, and they always have something judgmental to say. They are experts at pointing out these things. And then they go into the chorus. I've become so numb. And this is exactly what happens when a child is in a perpetual state of fight or flight. It's already been speculated, and I think proven, that children of narcissistic parents have a much more high likely degree of having an anxiety disorder in adulthood. I think that's absolutely could be the case. I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and less like you. So he wants to develop his own autonomy. He wants to be his own person, make his own mistakes, not just live up to his parents' expectations here, but be his own person. And then the next part. Can't you see that you're smothering me? Holding too tightly, afraid to lose control. And again, that's exactly what would happen to me too. So a narcissistic parent and the codependent spouse, mind you, too, they're both in on this together usually. But they're all up in your business. No room to breathe. No freedom to do your own thing. And it always reminds me of the Buddhist expression, the way to control a cow is to give it a large pen. Clearly that's something that narcissistic parents have never heard. They believe the opposite. They believe that they gotta control you because they falsely believe that if they can only get you to act right and do the right things, things will be better for them on the inside. Narcissistic people, they use others to regulate the inside of themselves. But there's not much wisdom in that because there's a difference between boundaries and controlling. Boundaries are when we say what is acceptable to us or not acceptable to us, and then we say this is a consequence for doing that. But we give people the freedom to decide for themselves whether they want to respect our boundaries or not. And sure, they don't have to respect our boundaries, but if they don't, they will be met with this consequence. That's the healthy way to do it. But to a narcissistic parent, and they're not the only kinds of people that do this, mind you, either, but they want to control. They want to fix, manage, and control other people to regulate the inside of themselves. And often, the ironic thing about trying to control others is the more you try to control them, the more pushback you're going to get. Because no one wants to be told what to do. No one wants to be controlled. People want to believe like they're making their own decisions and doing their own thing. So holding too tightly, afraid to lose control, because everything that you thought I would be has fallen apart right in front of you. And that's something that I can relate to a lot, where I used to play sports and was the golden child, but then I turned to alcohol and drugs because I had severe anxiety and had all sorts of things going on, not to mention the kind of household I was brought up in, but I was falling apart and I was a mess. And that's what he's talking about here, where you're going from being maybe a golden child to the scapegoat, to the person that is kind of lost. And that's another role too. The lost child is another role. And this is what can happen though, because there's a lot of pressure on a golden child. Or if they're not going to live up to it and do exactly what the narcissistic parent wants, it can be a very tumultuous relationship. So then after that, he goes into the chorus again. And there's only one more stanza here. And I know I may end up falling too, but I know, and this is a very poignant part of the song here, you were just like me with someone disappointed in you. So what does that mean? To me, it means it's the recognition that our narcissistic family members or parents, when they were children, they were treated very similarly to how they are treating their own children. So they went through all of the same things. But the difference is they're passing down the trauma. And they call this a transference through the generations. Generational trauma. But that's one of the things I want to help people break free from on this channel. To break the cycle of the generational trauma. Whether you're the narcissistic person, or the codependent person, or the borderline person, or the addict. And here's the thing, almost every addict is also codependent to something. But they say scratch beneath the surface of an addict and you will find a codependent as well. But whatever it is that was the issue, we want to break the cycle so we don't treat our children the same way we were treated. And then have your child make a song like this about their upbringing And that's what we want to avoid. But that also, besides being a wise thing to understand, it really helped me with my healing too. Knowing that, okay, they're doing the best they can. They just didn't have the awareness of it. They were kind of unconscious of what they were doing. And it probably happened to them in their own childhood. And it helped me to forgive for myself. And again, I'm in a situation where I'm not in no contact with them because it didn't get bad enough where they were able to respect enough boundaries and improve. So I was lucky in that scenario where it wasn't like a severe case later into adulthood. But it was pretty bad when I was younger. And I've learned, though, that, hey, this is how it went, and I wanted to look at it in a way that best helped me. What's going to help me? What way of looking at this is going to help me to be the happiest and healthiest version of myself? And hearing that last line in the Chester song of Numb, I said, yeah, that's exactly probably how it was. Now, would I wish it was different? Of course. But at the same time, too, though, I'm happy with who I am today. And if we're happy with who we are today, I kind of think we got to be a little bit grateful for the things that happened, even the negative things, because they all contributed to making us who we are today. Now, again, this does not mean that whatever happened to us was our fault or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that all the things that happened to us, they contributed to making us who we are today. And I think the forgiving part, it does help. It does help with living a happier life today. Because what's the other option, though? To just be bitter and resentful about it forever? And again, I'm not saying anyone should be accepting abuse today or disrespect today. I'm not saying that. But if the behaviors didn't change, yes, probably cut off. Probably go gray rock if you must talk to them. But I want people to be in a spot where they're the happiest and healthiest version. Holding on to bitterness and resentment doesn't really help anybody. It really just hurts us if we were to do that. So that's why I like seeing it in that way. It helped me to forgive and to look at things in a different light. But I've also been lucky, though, because my family situation has improved. It's not as bad as it once was. Now, is it perfect? No, not perfect, but it's not as bad as it was, and I'm very grateful for that. So that really is the end of the song there. Maybe, if you got this far, let me know what you thought, and maybe if the lyrics resonated with you in a different way, you could share how below. And if you think anyone else could relate or identify with this video, please do send it to them. Like the video if you did indeed like it. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because I'm trying to grow this channel here, help get the message out there. And with that, thank you very much for watching.